Hello and welcome to another Monday night stream. So I just had something quick to eat. A little bit late because I had some technical issues, but I seem to have resolved them. At least that's the hope. And tonight I'm going to be doing something a bit different. Not motion capture data, which I've been working on the last few weeks. This is for chapter 25. Those of you who were here before remember I've built this village on the stream for chapter 17, which is quite some time ago. It's the same village, obviously, but I've loaded it into Omniverse. I need to make it. I need to update some of the graphic settings on the textures and so on, but I also want to make it look like it's nighttime. So that should be interesting. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing tonight. I know chapter 25 isn't for a little while. It's because we've got 22, 23 and 4 to go first, but if I was working on any of those, it would be more motion capture data, and I think let's do something a bit different. And yeah, I'm excited to work on this, so let's get started. Let's see what we've got to work with here. This background thing, which I believe is trees. Oh yeah, it is. It's a still image of some background trees. Okay, that's kind of important. I guess the thing to do first is, rather than mess with the textures, is to mess with the lights. So that's dome light is basically there's a big dome around the whole environment. And it kind of projects light onto everything in the environment. So this is nighttime, so we want it to be blue. We want a little bit of light though, because we need to be able to see what's here. So let's change the key lights to be blue as well. All these lights need to be, well, that's already blue I guess, but we want it to be darker blue. I think that's a pretty convincing nighttime scene. Obviously that's nowhere near finished. Right, we want a background. That'll do. Obviously this is not what a cache looks like. That's going to be okay. I'm just putting a temporary background. Now see, that's lit everything up again. That is completely fine. Because what we really want is to make that really dark. that. So you can see the sky, but it doesn't really affect the environment that much, other than you can see the sky, you know, because we need that detail. So it's looking pretty good. Obviously still got more to do. Don't think the dome light has any effect now, which is good because, you know, we don't really need it. So let's switch to perspective camera. And now we're going to put some lights. There are some street lamps around the fence. The idea is they light up the village. So let's bring one of those in. Initially it's going to be very bright and the wrong colour, but that's okay. It's also way over there. Something I may have to do every so often is reload the scene. Omniverse is a great piece of software, but it's still in development and has some issues, shall we say. So it gets bogged down, and the only way to do it is to reload the scene from scratch. Well, not from scratch, but you save it, reload it, and it kind of clears out whatever the jam is that slows it down. I'm sure there's a much better technical explanation than that, but I don't know what it is. Right, so here's one light. As you can see, I've got these flat images here of Wookiees. It's to make the place look more crowded than it actually is. It's a little trick I use. Well, it's not just me that uses it. Lots of video games use it as well. It's when the camera is going to be so far away from these characters that you can't really tell. I mean, they're just kind of there. Alright, so that's that light. I know I've put it on top of the light instead of in it. It seems to be lighting up quite nicely that way. But if I put it in the lights, it does cause some issues, which we don't really need. If you notice, it is starting to slow down a bit, so let's see how far I get before I have to restart, reload the scene. And I do apologise. I was thinking it's strange no one was in the chat, and of course you are in the chat. I had it set to top chat instead of live chat, and I don't know how that happened because I always have live chat set. So let's see. Krogan, hello. Welcome. Sean Simpson, thank you so much for making this series. I'm glad you're enjoying this series so much. Kashik, well, you almost got the spelling right, Straw Hat. But I'm glad you recognise the plant anyway. Admiral Moo, Wookiees by Night would be a great horror film. You know, it really would, wouldn't it? Somebody X, good morning. I guess technically it's morning here too, it's gone past midnight. Yeah, I heard about the Rogue Squadron. It's a shame. I was looking forward to a Rogue Squadron movie. You never know, they might just do a series instead. Of course, Bob Iger's now running Disney again, so he may have other ideas as well. That's one light there. Actually, I'm going to save. Good thing about this is I can just duplicate lights when I've got it set nicely. Anakin Skywalker, welcome. I think the time has come to reload the scene, so let me just save this as it is. Reopen. There's so much potential for a Starfighter film or TV series. There really is, and they could use the volume environment so well for it, because you just have, you put the Starfighter prop in the middle of it. Obviously it's a life-size one, and you can have an actor sit in the cockpit, and then you just have the whatever mission is projected around them. And there you go, you got your space battle. I know that's what they do anyway with the Mandalorian when they have the X-Wings. So it would work so well for a Starfighter based TV series. I would watch that. Of course I'd like to make it too, but I don't have the volume, so and might be beyond my ability to afford one of those. But can you imagine the potential? I think I mentioned it to one of my real life friends once when we were discussing the technology. They asked what I would do if I had it, and I said I'd find cosplayers who looked like the original trilogy characters. They'll have to be willing as well for this. Get them to act out the scenes from Heir to the Empire in the volume environment. Have the voice actors I've got for the series dub the dialogue over whatever the cosplayers were saying, and then you'd have a live action Heir to the Empire. We can crowdfund a really small volume to put finger puppets in. You know, technically, I could use my computer screen as a mini volume for puppets, because all I've got to do is project the background onto the screen and then use some puppets. Could also do it with Lego men. That reminds me, it snowed here in my part of the UK 2 nights ago. So of course I went and took advantage of that with some photos using my Star Wars Lego, and I need to post them in the community page on the channel. So I'm really proud of the results. Alright, let's see how this looks from the actual camera shot. Timeline. So this is the kind of shot that you'd actually see in once this is all rendered and it's in the scene. I want a continuation of The Last Starfighter. That'd be interesting to see. Wasn't there a rumour that they were going to do something like that? I can't remember now. I'm sure I read something along those lines though. Yeah, hold on. Let me set. There we go. That's looking pretty good. So the street lights that I put down on the edges are now working. Of course, that's not the only lights here. We're going to need to put some lights in the doorways of these houses. But got to start somewhere. Also, this thing in the middle needs a light. But I am pleased with how this is looking. It's not just about lighting, there's some other things I'm going to do here as well. But let's get the lights done first. Let's do that blue one in the middle. Switch it to blue. There we go. Okay, switch back to perspective mode because I don't want to mess up the camera angles. Make sure we've got that right where it needs to be. Zooming in. There we go. Right, I'm going to save that. Right, so let's light up some of these buildings. So let's start with this one here because the light's right next to the door. So I'm duplicating the light again. Zoom in. Okay, so we don't want this light to be exactly the same colour. We still want it to give a slightly yellowish tinge, but a different yellowish colour to the street lamps. There we go. I think it should be brighter. It's got, I don't know, maybe it shouldn't be brighter. Let's find out. Let's make it. Switch back to the camera. Because you can't really see because it's at that angle. Well, actually, what? Let's duplicate the light. And there's a doorway way off over there in the distance. I hope all of you are having a good evening, or day, or morning, or whatever time of day it is. Six years after Star Wars Episode 2 Revenge of the Sith. This is 30 years after Revenge of the Sith. Takada, hello, welcome. Haven't seen you for a little while. I hope you're doing well. I think we're coming up to the time where I have to reopen the scene. For those who missed it, every so often I need to reload the scene because it slowly bogs down. I reloaded the scene and fixed it. It only takes a moment. If Qui-Gon hadn't found Anakin, what do you think would have happened to him? Probably would have lived a very sad, miserable life until he annoyed the wrong owner, whether it was Watto or if Watto sold him on to someone else. I guess you could say he didn't really have he had quite a sad, miserable life anyway, so might not have been that much different. I think Palpatine would have found a different apprentice. It could have even been Dooku could have made it all the way to the end. I adopted a husky puppy and he's taken over my life. Well, pets do that, but that's a good thing about them though, is they're important parts. They become very important parts of your life. So, what's your husky's name? What have you decided to call him? Oh. Director Spirit, hello, welcome. Yeah, it's coming up to the point where I have to reopen the scene. Long live the Empire. Long live the Empire. Jem, hello. All the way from Singapore. That's quite... What time is it there? Must be quite early in the morning. His foster mum named him Vader, so I renamed him Anakin. Both good names. I was thinking he might come to like a gang leader or lead a slave uprising. Have this image of him hanging out with sand people. That would certainly be an interesting plotline. It's kind of one of those, like those old Infinities comics that they did for the original trilogy. If they'd done it for the prequels, then obviously this could be the one for Phantom Menace. Crash any Y-Wings lately? Actually, I haven't played that game in ages. In fact, I don't think I've played it since I last streamed it. Alright, so I've put in a few lights in the doorways, so let's have a look to see what difference that's making. And then I'll reopen the scene. Yes, this is Omniverse. This is a slightly older version than the one that's currently available. I kind of like it. I know they've added more features to the new one, so I need to spend some time to learn what those are. But I haven't had a chance to yet. So I'm just going to save my progress here and reopen the scene. Hopefully you get a chance to finish those last campaign missions. Such a great story. Yeah, they are. Especially working for Thrawn. That's always going to get my interest. Right, so let's reopen this scene. Omnibus is great, but it's not finished yet, and so if you leave a scene, when you work on a scene for a while, it really slows down to a crawl, so you have to reopen the scene. It's 8:30 a.m. in the morning in Singapore. Okay, so later than I thought it was. I never really thought about the time zone difference. Anyway, I had to get up earlier for work. I would absolutely love a prequel trilogy. Infinity, shame, Dark Force. Yeah, it is a shame. I really enjoyed those Infinity's comics. Okay. That's now reloaded, so hopefully it will run a bit faster for a little while. So let's move that one up there. As you can see, it's already going a little bit better. Good. There's a house over here. I can't see the doorway because it's so dark. It's over here. Nope. This is certainly a little interesting dilemma. Alright, so the door must be on the other side of that. Infinity's from the Sith. Anakin, Padme, Rey, Luke and Leia. There's lots of fan comics along those lines where you see them happily together and the kids have been accepted by the Jedi Order and so on. But they're usually just snapshots. They don't actually really explore that whole story. So yeah, I agree. That would be a good one to see. It's like, what if Anakin had never turned? Yeah, so what I've got here is the camera kind of passes through the village. So I want this to be brighter because it doesn't look quite right. Okay, that's too bright. Maybe just repositioning it would be best. It'd be the better option. Yeah. Alright, let's do the same thing up here. Because it's lighting up the door frame, but not the wall behind. Are you going to put a Bigfoot in there as an Easter egg? How from Harry and the Hendersons, or have a Wookiee checking his watch. I hadn't planned to, but now that you mention it, that is a good idea. I had a thick idea buzzing around my head about that. No time the fic I'm working on. But there's something fascinating trying to find the why behind him not turning and seeing what would change. Yeah. What would change? How would he not fall into Palpatine's trap? Or what if another alternative at the end, when he's trying to talk Padme into joining him run the Empire, what if he's successful and she turns? If Anakin stops Palps, that might keep it turning, but for a story you might need another villain to make it interesting. Okay, how about this? Excuse me. When he goes to stop Mace Windu, what if he takes Mace Windu's side and Windu kills Palpatine, so Anakin doesn't stop him from doing it, and Windu then turns to the dark side and becomes the villain? Because he is basically trying to murder an unarmed person. That's a pretty dark side act. That'd be really handy. I see what we did there. If he helped Mace. Because then you got this idea of Anakin's just witnessed the murder, and no one believes him. I think Mace is the unarmed person. Yeah. So Anakin would go back to the Jedi Council and report that Windu just murdered someone, the Chancellor. But the other Jedi aren't going to believe them. They're going to say, well, Jedi Master would never act like that. No need to be sorry. I like jokes like that. Alright, I think that's done with the lighting. I'm going to save it. So yeah, Anakin then he's witnessed this murder, and the other Jedi don't believe him, and he's trying to expose Mace Windu for committing this crime that no one believes, and of course Windu is turning to the dark side. I mean, that wouldn't make him a full Sith Lord or anything, because obviously he's not following the Sith teachings, but it's obviously a big step. And Anakin making a nuisance of himself is just going to make Windu turn more, because obviously he doesn't want to He doesn't want to be found out. That's where I was going with that. That's just a cool idea. Do you write focus? I'd definitely read that one. Do I write fiction? I don't typically write fan fiction. If anyone listening to this, yeah, fix. If anyone listening to this wants to use that idea, go for it. I don't think I'm going to have time to write it myself because obviously I'm working on this. Autocorrect can be rather entertaining sometimes. Oh. Well, I just made Omniverse crash. Alright, let's load it up again. I'm glad I didn't get too far with what I was doing. Let's try this again. Fog is, of course, quite demanding on the system. We want it to be blue because it's night time. Yeah, there we go. Turn off the light icons. That looks pretty good. Yeah. Go back to the fog settings. I don't know what that did. I just thought I'd quickly play with it. Alright, so save again. And we've got nice foggy nighttime village. I think the fog adds something to the nighttime effect. I wonder if the fog should be darker. Yeah, that's better. That looks pretty good. Turn the grid off. That's basically how it's going to look. There are a few tweaks I need to make still. But I'm pleased with that. yeah, I'm definitely pleased with that. Right, save again. Make sure I've got it. Now what I'm going to do is turn the fog off because it's quite demanding on the system. Actually, so I'm going to save that again and reload. Because of course it's slowed everything down quite significantly. Which makes it harder to work on the scene. Right, so we'll wait for it to load. Yeah, any fanfiction writers who were listening to this stream and heard what I said about the alternate Anakin story, please use that idea. Go for it. I'd be interested to know what you come up with. Yeah, that's also an important thing. If you do write it, let us know, because you've obviously got several people here in the audience who would like to see it and read it. Looking for... Right, so what I'm going to do is some of these street lights, duplicate them and have them hang up from these houses, because I feel like they would probably have some external lighting. I have a massive multi-chapter Star Wars fic going right now where I'll start fleshing out the idea immediately. Well, you never know. It's an idea you can work on in the future. So let's duplicate that light that's down there, wherever it is. We're going to bring it up here. That's a bit bright, so let's lower the setting to 10,000. Very cool to see Mace move to fill the Emperor's void as he goes on, and see if the Order split into factions or how it worked out. Yeah, I think the Jedi Order would split up if Mace had turned, because I don't see Mace Windu trying to eliminate all of the Jedi like Palpatine did, but he would obviously make decisions about the galaxy based on his experience with the Clone Wars. And I imagine that they would become increasingly more extreme as he delved further into the dark side. So yeah, that certainly would be an interesting story. You'd have to work out which Jedi were on which side. Yeah, exactly. And he'd probably be thinking about how to prevent the Clone Wars from happening again. I could see him becoming increasingly paranoid. Sometimes it glitches and you select all these objects which you don't actually need. Yeah, I can see Mace Windu becoming increasingly more paranoid about... Before we start with reactions to whatever he was getting up to, and also the fear of being caught for murdering murdering the Palpatine. It's like he knows that he shouldn't have done it, but he kind of doubles down on it and lies and is worried about being caught. Okay, now we've got the light duplicated. So I think we can put another one up there. I think it'd be more Vader than Sidious. Yeah, I think you're right. See the dark side of him. Yeah. That's the effect. Alright, where Mace killed Palpatine and Sidious simply switched to his body or something like that. That's a good story too. What we were discussing is there's no personality transfer like that. It was purely Mace Windu turning to the dark side for murdering Palpatine. It all started because we were discussing what if Anakin never turned, what would happen, and then how would that actually come about. Awesome work. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think the little lights hanging have added so much to that place there. Think for a moment. We need to add some more lights to... There's this house here. There's one way off in the background. And I guess it wouldn't hurt to put some lights on the balconies here. But I think that might be a thing for tomorrow because I am getting quite tired. So I'm going to save and wrap up the stream. I'd like to thank everyone for coming. as always, it's been great talking to you, especially this fan fiction idea. It's certainly quite interesting to think about what could have been, and not just do it randomly, but actually think, well, how could that have been different? What would have changed? Why? What would have made it go differently? Did anyone else see that new Star Wars Jedi Survivor game trailer with the giant Wookiee with feathers like thing? I don't think that's a Wookiee that came out and growled. I think it was a Wampa. I saw something about it. They're calling it a forest Wampa rather than a snow Wampa. I'm looking forward to the game. Got 3 months to go. Got time to replay the first one. I really enjoyed the first one as well. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, I think that's it for this evening. Thank you all for coming. I hope to see you all next time. Whatever holidays you're celebrating at the moment, hope you enjoy them. Yeah, so may the throne be with you, and I will see you all next time. Have a good night, or afternoon, or morning.